Hi, welcome to People in the News. I'm Paula Zahn. Halle Berry is having a big year, a year that has changed her life. She's made history at the Oscars and joined the most successful franchise in movie history. With the premiere of the latest James Bond thriller, Die Another Day, Berry should be on top of the world. Instead, she's had to deal with heartache and hurdles she never would have imagined. Here's Darren Kagan.
Magnificent view.
My friends call me Jinx.
My friends call me James Bond.
Bond
James.
and Berry. Halle Berry, a combination to die for.
Use a little help here!
In Die Another Day, the 20th James Bond film.
Action.
And Berry's first since taking home Oscar.
It's a great night. I never thought it would be possible in my lifetime.
Halle Berry is that rarest of Hollywood celebrities, a stunning mixture of glamour, beauty, and Oscar-winning ability.
What happened?
I met your daddy.
I love the woman to bits. I mean, she's the most beautiful lady, and she's a girl who's at the top of her game. Jinx, you say?
Born on Friday the 13th.
And Berry's character Jinx may be the toughest Bond babe to date.
Well, she has all the elements of a Bond girl. You know, she's beautiful, she's sexy, and she's comfortable with her sexuality. But this time, she also is Bond's equal, for real. Your mama, you know, she essentially has the same job that he has. She's a trained assassin for her country as he is. And not only does he want her physically, but he needs her because she saves his hide a couple of times.
Not yet!
Now, Halle Berry, from early on in her career, was someone that threw herself into her roles, not just emotionally, but intellectually as well.
Berry's drive, her talent, and her good fortune have made her one of the most recognizable stars in the world. But Halle Berry's story isn't just one of great fame. It's also a study in loss, in pain, in the search for love and acceptance.
Well, when you look at Halle, it's hard to believe there's that much pain in her background. I mean, she's got the beautiful smile, the beautiful skin, the beautiful attitude. She's nothing but friendly and affable to anyone that's ever met her. But she does have this core of pain that goes back to her father.
Halle Berry was born in 1966. She was named after a hometown department store in Cleveland, Ohio. At the time, John F. Kennedy had already been assassinated. Martin Luther King Jr. was about to be, and Berry's childhood was as turbulent as the times.
Halle Berry had it rough growing up. Her father, she says, was an abusive alcoholic. He left the family when she was 4.
What was the lowest point ever?
Ever in my life or career, or this career?
Either one. Life.
Life. Probably when I was 10 and my father, who had left us, came back to live with us for a year. That was probably one of the worst years
a bad
of my
year?
life. The worst year of my life. Yeah. And probably because I loved him so much, I think, on some level, and desperately wanted a father. But having him come back into our home and being very violent and being an alcoholic and sort of abusing my mother and my sister, but never me. I think I grew up with a lot of guilt because
Why not you?
Why not me? Yeah. And that it was the worst year.
The youngest daughter of a white mother and a black father, Berry also struggled early on with the ugliness of racism.
Another factor that made her childhood difficult was coming to terms with being a biracial child and experiencing all kinds of discrimination. And in growing up, she's always said that the person who helped her deal with that was her mother.
Her father left, and her mom sat her down and said, listen, you're black. You're being raised by a white mother, but you're black. People are going to treat you that way. You should think of yourself that way, and life will be easier for you.
But little was easy in Cleveland during the late 60s and 70s for a young person of mixed race.
She originally attended some mostly black schools in the city, and she found that black girls would make fun of her for looking partly white. And then when she moved out to the suburbs, she found that white girls would make fun of her for looking partly black. It was almost as if she couldn't win.
Berry internalized much of her struggle with discrimination, and her need for acceptance fueled an intense desire to succeed.
Halle wanted to be loved because she felt this pull from both sides. That made her a joiner, and she became a cheerleader, and she was good at that. She ran for class president. She was good at that. And then she wanted to become prom queen too, and she ran for that, and she seemingly won, but then there was some sort of difficulty. And they had a meeting, and they said, oh, actually it was a tie, and a white girl has tied with you, and they had a coin flip that Halle won, but she felt suspicious of that.
After high school, the young woman who had always sought to play down the color of her skin turned to the most image-driven of affairs, beauty pageants.
She was a beauty queen, and she's attributed that with how she managed to overcome difficult times she'd had with being treated with discrimination, and this was a way to make her stand up and say, no, I'm beautiful, whatever you say.
Barry's pageant life took her from Cleveland to Chicago, a big city with big hurdles, bad roommates, and bitter lessons.
One of her roommates kind of skipped out without paying the more than $1,000 worth of rent that was owed, and Halle didn't know what to do. She didn't have the money to pay for it. So she called her mom, Judith, and Judith said, listen, you want to make it in the big city? You want to be a success? You've got to deal with this on your own. And Halle didn't understand it at first, but it helped her. It helped her to be self-sufficient.
With no safety net and no one to bail her out, Halle Berry risked it all, trading her tiara for the uncertainty of acting. When People in the News continues, Halle Berry fights for her first big break in Jungle Fever and falls hard for the wrong man.
One thing people can learn from Halle Berry's relationship with David Justice is if you don't like baseball, don't marry a baseball player.
News.
Halle Berry began her career on stage as a beauty queen, eventually becoming first runner-up in the 1985 Miss USA competition.
Lauren Bacall once said that stardom isn't a profession, it's an accident. And the same is really true of Halle Berry's path to stardom. She really got into being a beauty queen, quite by accident. She needed money.
Although she was known as a terrific competitor, Berry wouldn't remain on the pageant circuit for long. She had bigger plans. She was going to be an actress. In 1989, Berry landed a part in the television sitcom Living Dolls. It was her first big job. She was on her way.
What are you working on? Bonding properties of hyperkinetic complex molecules.
And then the lights went out. While filming an episode of Living Dolls, Berry collapsed. No one knew what was wrong. Doctors were consulted, and Berry was eventually informed that she had diabetes. Adding to her stress, Living Dolls was canceled after only a few weeks on the air. For Berry, it seemed grim, but she actually was about to step into the right place at the right time.
When Halle Berry really was sort of coming of age as a star in Hollywood, there were people like the Hughes brothers, Spike Lee, Robert Townsend, directors who had a vision for blacks on screen.
Ironically, director Spike Lee's vision for Halle Berry almost cost the young actress her break into film. Lee didn't think Berry was right to play Samuel L. Jackson's drug-addicted girlfriend in Jungle Fever. Thought she was too beautiful.
I want y'all to meet my new woman, Viv.
But Berry was out to prove that she was more than just a pretty face. She stopped bathing for several days to prepare for the gritty role and eventually won Lee over. Critical praise for Jungle Fever led to more substantial roles for Berry, including a starring turn in 1995's Losing Isaiah.
If you think you're just gonna walk up in this court and take my baby like you take some puppy from a pound, you got another thing coming, lady.
And later, opposite Hollywood legend Warren Beatty in Bulworth. Although Berry was dazzling the critics in the 1990s, she was becoming better known to the public as a cover girl.
Then there came a time where she was really just known as the face of Revlon. She was wearing beautiful gowns to all the performances and awards shows and became known more as Halle Berry Beauty Queen.
Whatever her professional image, Berry's career was definitely on the rise. Her private life, however, was another matter.
Halle Berry has not had as much luck in love as she has had in her career. She started off badly. She's talked about a former boyfriend who beat her so hard that she ended up deaf in one ear, or 80% deaf in one ear.
But it was Barry's disastrous marriage to baseball player David Justice that really ushered in a dark period in the actress's life.
One thing people can learn from Halle Berry's relationship with David Justice is if you don't like baseball, don't marry a baseball player. She never really liked baseball.
It wasn't the life for me. You know what I mean? To some people, it's a great life. It wasn't something that I found a lot of happiness with.
Barry's split from Justice was very tense and very messy.
Halle Berry had him served with divorce papers, between the 5th and 6th innings of a Padres game. That's not a good way to sort of make friends with someone who's going to be soon to be your ex.
All kinds of accusations have flown on both sides of her marriage with David Justice. She has accused him in print of sleeping with prostitutes, strippers. He's accused her of all kinds of things as well, and she put a restraining order against him. It was messy. It was really nasty on both sides.
The divorce took an enormous toll on Barry.
I was a woman who grew up with that fantasy that was, pushed down my throat. You have to find your prince and he will take care of you and that will be happiness. My sense of self and my self-worth was totally connected to him. So when he left, I felt like nothing.
Filled with a sense of failure and questioning her own worth, Halle Berry seriously considered ending her own life.
When I was in that moment and sitting in the car, I was going to asphyxiate myself in a garage. When I was sitting there, really with all my heart wanting to end my life, I thought of my mother and I thought, wow, how unfair. I would break her heart. My heart's broken and I'm going to kill myself. I would break her heart. I would break her heart.
Berry also began to realize that suicide would be a cowardly act. She'd be walking out on her family, her fans, herself. Berry decided to take more control over her life and her career. In 1999, Berry released her most personal film to date, HBO's Introducing Dorothy Dandridge. The film follows the life of the first black woman ever nominated for a Best Actress Academy Award and her struggles in 1950s Hollywood.
She had a personal connection to Dorothy Dandridge. Halle Berry was born in the same hospital in Cleveland that Dorothy Dandridge was. When she was a kid, she first saw Dorothy Dandridge on screen in the movie Carmen Jones, and it shocked her. She'd never seen a black woman like that on screen.
Berry fought hard to bring her vision of Dandridge's life to television. When HBO refused to increase the film's budget, Berry dug into her own pocket.
Dorothy Dandridge.
One scene she thought was key was a scene that showed Dorothy Dandridge and her sister arriving for the Oscars. And Halle Berry felt it was necessary. It was necessary to sort of show their joy, show their moment of triumph. And so she paid for the whole day of shooting out of her own pocket.
Berry won a Golden Globe for her portrayal of Dorothy Dandridge, but her success would soon be overshadowed by controversy.
People versus Halle Marie Berry.
That story, when our look at Halle Berry continues.
In Die Another Day, Halle Berry pays homage to the Bond girl who started it all 40 years ago, which leads us to this week's Where Are They Now?
As Honey Rider in 1962's Dr. No, Ursula Andress defined a generation and set the standard for Bond girl beauty. Best known for her statuesque bikini scenes in movies like Elvis's Fun in Acapulco, this Swiss-born bombshell was once married to actor John Derek. She later had a child with much younger Harry Hamlin, who she met on the set of the 1981 film Clash of the Titans. So where is Ursula Andress now? At 66, the actress lives in Rome, enjoying the fruits of her one-time super celebrity status. Healthy and active, she continues to pop up on the international celebrity scene. She's appeared in a number of art films and continues to gain appreciation for her iconic role as what some see as the sexiest Bond girl ever. Our profile of Halle Berry continues when People in the News returns.
Thank you, Bob.
Halle Berry found new life in playing Dorothy Dandridge. The accolades rolled in. Her career had reached a new level. Things were finally looking up. But the moment was short-lived. Berry would soon learn the price of her celebrity. In 2000, Berry was indicted for leaving the scene of a car accident.
Halle had been hanging out with a friend, eating chips, drinking Diet Cola, was driving home in West Hollywood in a rented car, went through an intersection, and ran into another car.
Berry suffered a head injury in the accident. To this day, she says she doesn't remember the crash and can't explain why she left.
Your Honor, she got incredibly bad publicity surrounding that event, and she actually had to perform community service, so she was kind of down and out there for a while.
In the midst of this very public turmoil, Berry would find solace in the arms of R&B singer Eric Benet. The couple quietly married early last year.
Halle has said that Eric Benet has a lot to do with how her life has turned around. She seems to find a lot of strength in him. He seems to give her a lot of support. She spends a lot of time with his daughter, India.
By 2001, Halle Berry had a new man, a new family, and she was looking for her next challenge. She found it in a project called Monsters Ball.
From the moment I read the script, I thought, I've got to play this. And never thinking it would bring awards, I really thought what it would do would bring credibility to my body of work.
You looking for Hank?
Yes.
However surprising it might seem now, Halle Berry had to put up a monster fight to win her role in Monsters Ball. The filmmakers just couldn't see Berry in this racially charged drama. She didn't fit their idea of Letitia, a poor death row widow who falls in love with her husband's executioner.
So Halle shows up to meet Lee Daniels, the producer of Monsters Ball, and they get to talking and they get to arguing. She began to deliver her argumentative lines in the same cadence the character would. And so Lee Daniels saw the character on the page come to life before his eyes, arguing with him, and it won him over.
My name is Letitia Musgrove.
For her performance in Monsters Ball, Halle Berry was nominated for an Oscar. Life was about to imitate art. Just like her scene from Introducing Dorothy Dandridge, Berry was about to walk down the red carpet, a black woman who had defied the odds to become a Best Actress nominee. And Berry thought, like Dandridge, that she wouldn't win. She didn't even write an acceptance speech.
The night before, I had an Oscar party and Oprah Winfrey came and she said to me, her last words to me, "Girl, write a speech." And I said, "Oprah, I don't need to write." She said, "Write a speech." So I went home and I thought about it and I thought, I'm not gonna write a speech. I'm really not gonna need a speech.
But Berry did need a speech. She not only walked down the red carpet at the Oscars, she walked into history, becoming the first African-American woman to win the award for Best Actress. Though Berry was nearly speechless when her name was first announced, she did eventually find her voice, and she spoke for nearly 3 minutes, a lifetime at the Oscars.
I also like the moment when they were trying to shoo you off the stage and you said, 74 years.
I saw that sign, I'm thinking, wait a minute, 74 years it took somebody. So, but I didn't want to be too indulgent, but I did have to thank, some of the people.
A big win in what should have been Halle Berry's best year. She had an Oscar in hand and a starring role in the latest James Bond thriller.
James.
And almost as soon as Berry started filming, reports began to surface that her marriage to Eric Benet was in trouble. For months, Berry remained quiet about her family life, about her husband.
Action.
And then, as Die Another Day was about to premiere, a bombshell confession. Berry confirmed to Essence magazine that her marriage was in jeopardy, saying, "The truth is that during the period of my most significant public success, the Academy Awards, my private life faced a staggering crisis." Without touching on specifics, Berry went on to say, "All romantic relationships suffer crises. No woman alive can claim otherwise." Berry announced that she and Benet had entered psychotherapy, that they were working to salvage their marriage, and that she wasn't giving up.
The home life is happy now?
Yeah, my home life is, it's good.
Got a good guy?
I think so.
Not sure?
I'm sure.
Halle?
No, I am sure. We are like, a lot of couples. Marriage is hard. But if you're really committed and you're in it for the long run, which we both are, we're the kind of people who will fight for it.
Berry says nothing is more important to her than her family, and that was never more evident than right after she'd won her Oscar.
Thank you. That's the only reason this happened, really.
Really?
Everything sort of came together for me. Finding that peace, finding a partner, I became a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I had so many more reasons to do what I do, and I think that's the reason this reward came my way.
Berry has been working almost non-stop since the Academy Awards. In addition to Die Another Day, she's also reprising her role as Storm in the sequel to her box office hit X-Men. a vast departure from her dramatic performance in Monsters Ball.
Halle Berry clearly has range, and she's trying to show it off. Whether it works in the future will be interesting to see.
Whatever roles Halle Berry chooses in the future, one thing is for sure. She's proven time and time again that she's much more than just a pretty face.
In addition to starring in Die Another Day and working on X-Men 2, Halle Berry is also co-producing 4 upcoming films. And there is serious talk that her character Jinx may become the first spin-off from the James Bond series.
And when we return, she's become the highest paid actress in history, and she's not afraid to flex her muscle.
I want my man to see this. Look at the muscle. Forget the award. Just look at the muscle. This weighs 14 pounds.
Working out with Julia Roberts, next on People in the News.